Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with a Bethesda news update. Today we are going to be focusing on Bethesda and their future with Nintendo on their latest console, the Switch. Bethesda has been an advocate for supporting the Nintendo Switch since the very beginning with Skyrim Special Edition. Afterwards, they ported Doom on the Nintendo Switch, and now in 2018, the Switch is getting its very own version of Wolfenstein 2, one of my favorite single-player narratives in recent memory. In a post on Twitter, Bethesda said, "We're happy to confirm our continued development partnership with @PanicButtonGame, who will be bringing Wolfenstein 2 to the Switch. We're excited to share more information on Wolf 2 soon." So we're going to talk about who PanicButtonGame is, what they've done for the Nintendo Switch and Bethesda, as well as how this can impact Bethesda in the future with potential Switch titles. Now, we did know for a while now Wolfenstein 2 was coming to the Switch. We didn't know who was working on it. I knew PanicButtonGame because I'm a brand new Ruby fan. I just caught up on the show, and I was actually playing Grim Eclipse recently, and I saw their name, so that's where I made the connection right away. Naturally, that wasn't the best first impression for me. I think that game is acceptable if you're a Ruby fan, but if it's just a game and we're being objective here, it's not that great. I know they're not solely responsible for the development, but their name's on the box, so you get the point. So my first impressions weren't fantastic. I went to their site and did some research on some of the games they have done, and they are mostly known for their ports, like bringing games to the Switch, bringing games to the Vita. They were actually the ones who brought Doom to the Switch. They brought Rocket League to the Switch, so they've absolutely been busy lately. Considering Doom was their latest project, let's talk a little bit about that. Honestly, Doom on the Switch was in a crappy position from the start, and I feel like sadly Wolfenstein 2 might meet that same fate. Doom was out for about a year by the time the Switch had already had its version. It was a similar situation that the Wii U always had, where it was getting its ports so late that there was already a definitive version, and that if someone wanted to play that game by that point in time, they would have already done it on the other systems that it was on for that year. I don't even say this as a PC elitist, but just Doom on the Switch, it did not look that great, it did not run that well, and the only benefit you had from it was the portability factor, which for many, including myself, is the reason you buy those types of games. But when it was already available on consoles, when there was already the free first chapter with the demo, there were so many sales for Doom. If people were interested in Doom, they probably already picked it up on another system. But with that being said, this isn't about sales. The product itself wasn't all that impressive in my personal opinion as someone who had tested it multiple times. And it's not because it's a bad product, it's just that the other versions are so good because the other systems are a little bit more powerful than the Switch, of course. What can this mean for future Bethesda games? I'm sure Panic Button will be porting future Bethesda titles onto the Switch. I'd love to see them actually get Fallout 4 on the Switch. I'd love to see maybe actually Oblivion make its way to the Switch, Morrowind to the Switch. Those would be crazy combinations. Bethesda hasn't really ever had a company that they've continued to work with that just ports their games. This is their chance to actually maybe bring back some games from the past. We had talked previously about Bethesda not wanting to waste their time doing these types of projects, which is porting titles and bringing them back to the past. But when it's not affecting future developments, like for example Machine Games with Wolfenstein 2, they're able to continue working on the DLC and hopefully a Wolfenstein 3. This port does not impact them whatsoever because Panic Button Game is the one who is going to be handling it. So while Wolfenstein 2 on the Switch obviously isn't news itself, it's the way it's being ported and by who that I'm very interested in, because it does open the door up for Bethesda to continue porting games onto the system. Quality over quantity, but I do hope Bethesda starts to get them out in a little bit of a quicker fashion, because like I said, the same thing's going to happen with Wolfenstein 2. There are going to be sales over 2018. A lot of people who are already interested in this game are going to be picking it up. But regardless, the Switch is getting support. The Switch was probably my favorite system in 2017 when it launched. There were just great game after great game, and the convenience factor of it. So more support for that is great in my book. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments down below, so fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.